Okay. Hello everybody. Guten Tag. Bonjour a tout le monde. Buongiorno a tutti quanti. Hola a todos los mundos. I would like to. Unfortunately, my Spanish is really invisible. Io parlo qualche palabra, ma non tengo dinero. Soy un designer povero della Suiza. But ricco nell'anima, nell'alma. I will talk in English. I come from Lausanne, and it's a lovely little town in Switzerland, in the French part. I have to thank Nacho for this great invitation. He's a really great host. I love Spain, and Nacho and all his staff manage everything really well. And I'm so happy to be here to give a talk in Valencia. It's my second time in Spain. And I think I'm gonna try to become Spanish because it's really a lovely country, and the culture is so amazing, and there is a kind of hidden potentiality that I see every time I come here, and that probably in Switzerland we cannot grasp it, but I really like it. So I'm gonna talk a little bit before introducing my works about technology. I'm always confronting myself and our daily task to what is technology and what is the influence of technology, and somehow how that has an impact on society. And of course, a mobile phone with this kind of arrogant posture of connecting together, saying that you are smarter if you have a mobile phone that can do whatever, against someone who has not a mobile phone that is smarter, is like something that is changing completely our interactions. And somehow this is a picture taken by Matteo Aroldi, a friend of mine from Ticino, in Japan. This is 8 years ago, and you already notice that this fragmentation of society is really spreading out. There is a kind of attitude that we can spot, especially in big cities in Europe, and in Switzerland, also in the small cities, that everybody now tend more to connect with their own social digital network than with a real human network that could be available in front of you. And to me, this is really connected to how there is a kind of symbology around us that moves our decision-making process. And it's all about our planet, our vision of the planet, and how there is a kind of that narrative around how our species can develop during the ages. And of course, Americans, they're leading on that. I mean, they can take over Russia doing the first Apollo missions. This is a beautiful picture taken apparently on the moon with this beautiful Hasselblad camera. And I tend to be always skeptical about images. If you work in communication, especially in visual communication, you must be skeptical, because image is a vehicle of meanings and culture. But what really these messages are meaning, and what they are carrying on. And for me, those images are so powerful, probably amongst the most powerful images that we can have in our mindset. And I'm really skeptical about how they have taken. I'm really one of those who is saying, yes, but the planet is rounded, it's not flat. And then I could have been put in jail for saying that. And I also love to play with this little, people, they were fooled for thousands of years saying that the planet was flat. And we have this picture that is really beautifully done. We can say that Richard Avedon has taken it, and it's so balanced. I mean, look at the composition. It's like doing ikebana composition by a Japanese master, and everything is really lovely overlapped. Everything is so harmonious. The flag is just standing perfectly. And look at in the shadow, there is another United States logo, really, really well light up. And are all little sign of a beautiful image. I mean, we have always to think about the condition in which they have taken it. And then this man that is like saying hello to all the humanity probably has discovered something, and has discovered something that is nobody has never realized that there is on the moon. But what there is actually on the moon? So apparently, images are there to move us, and so I think thanks to this kind of symbols, you have a tourism in Valencia that is really important, and we have always to. I mean, there is a lot of critics in Bilbao about the bridge of Calatrava because it's like a sliding park, and now there is a beautiful carpet on it that is really making it a kind of statement. But somehow there is an image. It's not just function. There is an image, and the image, the symbol that is carrying on is really important. In this case, I saw also different kind of comparison between these symbols, like this image that is really important, or these kind of symbols. What are the connection behind? What is the heritage that we carry on about that? Or this image that, yeah, of course, is really strong, is powerful, is male, and then this image. What does it mean? It's just, you know, like, can we question those symbols, why they're there and how they influence us? Or those images and those ones, the smokes, and there is a lot of potential connection between those images and those symbols. And somehow we can see it, that there is a use in the market of these symbols to helping us to making decision and to buying stuff. For instance, this image is really obvious, the aesthetic of this element. And look how they can influence us in saying what is the best and most powerful computer we can ever have. Voila. And how the symbol can impact us. So as I said, I'm like we are really a really small studio based in Lausanne. This is my little town. This is the cathedral. There are these beautiful mountains around, and I'm working. This is my atelier. It's near the lake. There is a question of how do we relate with the space. This is my flat, and this is the daily trip I have to do to my office. And somehow, you know, we tend as a designer to improve things, to make it always better through time. So also, if it takes just 1 minute to go by walk to the office, I found a solution to cut in half with this Italian bike. And yes, and this is where we work, and we have a kind of surrounding that is also helping us somehow to do this kind of, we say, Swiss design. There is a surround that is different from a city. There is another feeling that is influencing us. I think it's also a matter of how your lifestyle, how your environment is influencing you and to create stuff. And of course, the influence that can give to you as a designer is always your background, your family. So I come from a family where my father was a printer and a publisher. Here they were like doing their own paper and then their own printing. And there were also he was also one of the first in Ticino to buy an Apple in the '84. So this is an old one. And so how technology entered always in my life so striking. And that is a book that he wrote. My father is a kind of parody on Swiss on the Swiss story, and they work with this computer to hack it a little bit to give a twist. And in fact, every illustration that there is in the book is like manipulating. So they retouch it with this computer. So it's like a kind of strange attitude to use a super modern computer with a paint drawer to retouch these old images. And somehow I realized that it is what I'm doing now with my projects. So I had the chance also to work in a printer. So I spend a few hours a day in the darkroom to develop films and so on. So in my work I have this knowledge that I try to use and to apply to my project. And so I will introduce you. The first project is a chemigram. It's a project that I done in collaboration with Conrad. He's a publisher in Italy. He's really known for his range of books of Bruno Munari. And he has this little series of booklet called Un Sedicesimo, that is a 16 pages booklet. And he asked artist, designer, illustrator to interpret and do whatever. It's a really carte blanche project. So the idea was to think about how can we escape from technology and still be able to use industrial technology. So to print in thousands of copies one element. And here we work with chemicals and brush, as you see here, and we work straight on the offset plate. So offset machine were for the moment are the most used techniques in printing. There will be probably taken over by digital in the future, but it's still not the case now. And so we work straight on this plate that have a kind of character. The plate can be hydrophobic or can attract water or repel waters. And we use those chemicals to draw straight on the plate. So there is a kind of like old-fashioned way. It's like, you know, lithography working on an industrial element. And then this is the result that we have. And we could print thousands of books thanks to these techniques, and there is no use of computer whatsoever. So that was a kind of experience to say, can we still today be able to generate a project without the usage of digital technology? Then we try to stretch this this attitude using what is called lithogram or photolithogram. It's really known in the period of Bauhaus and Dadaism. There was this usage of this kind of act photography by Man Ray. So we use the same techniques, but on offset plates. So here we want to buy some glasses on the flea market, and then this is the plate that we are using, and we position the object straight on those plates. And as at the time the old technology used to be exposed by hand, I remember that there was this process, and we had to find in a printer facility people who still had this kind of technology, because today when you generate a plate, it's done straight from a PDF to the plate. There is no intermediate state between. So once we found an old printer still having this kind of photo booths, we put the offset plate on the booths, the glasses over, and we exposed these plates to a light. And the result is that because this blue surface is a photographic surface, it reacts to light, we could then interact and create a kind of photography straight from the reality. And again, that is the base to a printing project that we did without the usage of the computer. So we're still another project that can show you how can we escape from I always say the tyranny of digital, and be able to still work industrially and giving a project to a client. Then we worked a little bit more deeper into the technology, and we say, okay, now we use the part of the offset machine, and we went a little bit further, and we developed what we call WROP, water random offset printing. That is a technique that interacts straight with the process. So this is a normal offset machine in which there are different rollers. There is a part of the rollers that takes the inks, and they make the inks as thinner as possible. And then there are some rollers, some cylinder in which we put the plate, the offset plate, that is the matrix. And then there is a place in which there is the sheet of paper entering. And we could be able to act and to change the hydro setting of the machine and chemical setting of the machine in order to be able to interact with liquids directly on the roller while the machine is running. So that means that we go there, we activate the machine, and we generate shapes and form straight into the machine. So here you see a little bit, this is the pile of paper that it came out in 1 hour of work. So it's really industrial process. And those are the cover that we printed. The beauty that there is on this project is the variety. So there is a kind of unique feeling of it. Every booklet has its own unique cover that is never the same. And there is a kind of development of a kind of typical sign that you see. There are those stripes and a kind of droplets element that could remind us a little bit the dripping of the Pollock painting. Then we had the chance to try to scale up these techniques. This was done in a small size, and we were invited by the Musée des Beaux-Arts du Locle in Switzerland. Le Locle is the place in which we produce the most known watches like Tissot. And the art museum make a collective project asking 7 designers to generate a carte blanche poster. And so we say that is perfect, the right place to experiment in a big scale our techniques. And this is like the scaling part, you know. You see in small the Black Swan leaflet for done previously, and then you see this was the first test we did with the printer. And in order to be able to have a big format, we have to find out who were able to work with us, and we found the biggest offset printer in Switzerland near Lucerne. This is the big beast. It's really huge, and is a kind of more complex machine than what we used to do. And this is Reto. I used to call it the rock and roll printer. He has this kind of macho attitude against his machine, and it's really there is a small detail. These beautiful posters. Why printer has always those posters? I never know. And he was really engaged in the process, and that's so important when you work in this part. There is a kind of problem now in graphic design. The printing is like detaching from the designers. Now the most of us is gonna printing straight on internet. They send a PDF file and then don't meet anymore the printer. So it's really important to find a good partnering for do that, and Reto was one of those. And in order to use our techniques, we had to take out the cylinders like this one. It's a few tons of metal cylinder that we have to move from the machine. And this is the size of the paper. So there are a lot of differences from a small size and to a bigger one. There are the liquids that we are using. And in order to work with this project, we had to create a team of performers. And we did a kind of experimental session. We decided to do a performance, to invite people to come to see the performance. And the performance was structured like John Cage was doing in his own performances. And I was running as a director of this small orchestra. And there was the team was the players, the musicians. And here, in order to work with the machine, we create partitions. That is a partition that influence every colors. So we are using 3 colors, the 3 colors from the offset printing, donc the cyan, magenta, and yellow. And we designed it exactly where we have to influence which color in what kind of time. So the musician had to change the application of the techniques depending the period of time. So I was managing the clock, and was pretty fun because in this big machine there is a kind of a loudspeaker and a microphone. So we were like talking in this microphone, and then we had all the other graphic designer injecting liquids and listen to the. It was like a fun moment to do, and here you see the musician like playing with the machine. And here like a little bit of sign on the plate. This is the plate. In fact, when you see the plate, it's normally empty. There is nothing. But when we interact with liquids, they start to change. And here are the results of the project. And in fact, as you see, the colors are mixing together. And what is interesting is like having kind of overlayered random effects. And we knew that normally there were stripes, but then in the scaling up of this biggest machine, we started to find other kind of random signs that they were not. They were like surprises. So these small triangles, white repeated elements, they were like coming from nowhere, and there are a lot of unknown elements that were really good surprises. And then we cut, and this is the size of the real poster. Is an A4 poster that was used by the museum to exhibit on the street. And I have to thank Thibaut Tissot from Home Lab. He's a German, Berlin-based atelier who invited us to do that. And because it was really like experimental project. And yeah, I like to do experimental stuff without having like a cahier de charge to cope with, like constraints. You are free really to experiment, and the output is we don't care about the outputs. We care about the process itself. And then we try to move a little bit further with this techniques and see if we could being able to use it in a project. And I'll introduce you this client. Is the Lausanne Underground Film Festival. Is a kind of weird festival. The client is supposed to show movies that are not able to be seen in classical theater movies. So from horror to punk to porn to whatever kind of underground movies, and so we had a long collaboration. And doing this collaboration, we received as a studio kind of critic that we were not readable, as we say, and especially for these two posters. They say that those two posters were not readable, and then we thought, oh my gosh, it's a strong critic. I mean, we are like always fighting for giving the most interesting and the most deep and committed project, and then we receive these critics, and it's like important, and we have to fix it. As a designer, you want to fix it and find a solution. And so we were inspired to fix that from typography. Oops, this is unexpected image. This is what I give to my clients when they come to drink a coffee. I give that. So it's like trying to live with their own kind of lifestyle of underground way to live. And this is the result of the poster. So usually you see it's a really beautiful, typographically essential, well-kerned poster in which we use we may say the corporate font, the Swift typeface, and in which there is a kind of, you see already that we try also to put the partners' logos in a kind of structured way. And that was like a good result. I mean, in a big size, you put it on the street, it's really visible, people, they can read it really well, recognize it really well. So the mission of communicating the subject of the client is done. But that is what happened into contamination, into influences amongst projects. So while we were developing this project, we were doing also the previous one, the biggest ROP for the Musée of Fine Art in Le Locle. And somehow came out this idea to say, let's try to use VROP for Louvre. And so we, as usual, I tend to do with those clients, I try to sell a kind of extra tricks on the project. And so influenced by their own logo, this is we may say the corporate logo of the festival. You see there is the underground that is like as this kind of lines that is like trying to erase the underground. And this is for them is a kind of philosophical statement, because in fact underground is not existing anymore. It was existing in the 50s, in the 60s in the United States was when the movement came all about. And they're like playing a little bit with this nice humor in denying the underground. And so I took this idea of this line, and we use it with the VROP technique. And here is a test with it, and the result is that. So the poster is like taking another dimension. There is this line, a black line, that is like underline and erase the underground. And now you realized also why the sponsors are in the middle of the typography. So we could able to erase it. This was a kind of underground way of approach the project. But the problem is that, the client says, yeah, it should be not too strong because then it's not readable anymore. And but the problem, in fact, that we realized while we were printing that is not we are not able to manage the intensity of the ink. So the project started to get weird, to get a little bit more dense, until it was almost unreadable. But we carry on this process, and here you see a sheet of paper coming out from Reto managing the Big Mama. And by the way, those is still in this rock attitude. Is like the good sheet of paper are always separated with this green label. And those are the results. So, and there is something really underground about it. I mean, it's really darky, it's really minimalistic somehow, but there is this element of accident, there is a kind of weird accident on the, and here you see the poster on the streets. And when you see in the context, it's starting to be really strong and really be interacting and interesting with the final user who is reading it or not reading it. And the interesting part of it is that, yeah, of course, if you are close, we fix those problems. So we said, okay, we have to fix the readability, and we make the typeface double dark. So we printed twice, so the typeface is darker than the lines. But when you are far away, so we are like playing with the instance, because a poster, like every element on the streets, on the urban sphere, is like different depending on the distance that you are. When you are from far, you cannot read the black parts, so you can just read Lausanne and film or festival. And what's happening is that spontaneously there is a kind of seducing element coming out, because you cannot read everything. But since we have the posters spread out all over the city, people, they read just maybe Lausanne, then they see another poster, they read just underground, and then the image of this weird poster is started to create itself through time. So the connection that you have with a normal poster, that is like you read it just in one moment and it's done, is different. Here the poster is like generating, the meaning of the poster is generating through times, through different kind of layers. Then we have like we may say it's like a fetish version of the poster. Yeah. That we didn't use it, but we kept it for ourselves, like, you know, a nice object to have in the studio. And then always for Louvre, I'll introduce you another project we did for them. That is this one. Also is a really typographical project. We had the chance to collaborate with Emmanuel Ray of Bebe Foundry, with a typeface foundry based in Switzerland. They're doing really greatly, and they are producing really beautiful typefaces. And this is the Euclid typeface he developed. That is a kind of nice contemporary and radical typeface. And we had the chance to use it before it was released on the market. So we were like experimenting with this typeface. That is, of course, you see that there is this like geometric approach. There is some reminiscence, some connection through Futura typefaces. Like we have this, the circle, we have the triangles, and we have the square. And we use the typeface in a kind of monospaced way. So you see all the letters are fragmented, and they are separated. And but you need a little bit of it's a kind of a playful typography. You need an effort to read it, but you can read the Louvre horizontally. then you have 1523, OCT, that is October 2011, and then you have the website. So it's always spread out in that way, and then you have the Lausanne Underground Film Music Festival that is also written vertically, and it's a kind of Japanese homage to the way how they read typefaces. And we work really in a kind of functional. We really think form follow function, and we still believe in it. I don't think I'm not a kind of lover of trendy stuff. So this was done not to be trendy; was done for a purpose, and this purpose was to be able to do something with these structural typefaces. Then we did the previous one was the poster, the poster for the street, the urban application. This is the A3 poster. So we did something also really weird. We cut out all these triangle elements, so there is an hole inside, and then I proposed to the client, let's print something also on the back. And the client answered, but why do you want to print on the back? And I say, I don't know, but I like the idea. So we print it also on the back, and it's like, why? Because nobody's gonna look at it. And but they loved it, and I think, I mean, we are as a designer, as a Swiss designer, we tend always to over intellectualizing the decision, and it's nice to have a kind of weird and open way to interpret the project and let the emotions go. And this poster is really nice to have it on the ends, because it's like adding an extra twist to the paper. It's like Lucio Fontana with spatialism. When you cut a surface, the surface is not anymore flat; it's having a space, so it's opening. And this is the idea of spazialismo, a movement born in Italy. And in this case, we use this idea to go further. And so the concept of this poster is to print two different posters. So we had a red poster that you see on the background in the image that you see previously typographically. And we managed to glue the two posters one over the other on the streets. So we had to manage all this process. There was a kind of a pain to do, because the company who is doing that were asking us, but why you are gluing a poster and hiding a poster on the background? Why you do that? You must be crazy. It's a waste of money. But in fact, we couldn't say what we wanted to do, because we knew that we would have had some problems. And so we did like a kind of underground approach to that. And it was really a kind of a fight to be able to manage all this process, because they didn't want to let us doing that, and we had to come out with a kind of weird ideas. And in fact, what's happening, that the street was full of those posters with something hiding on the back. We let them running for 1 week. So for 1 week there was those posters like that on the street. Then we produce a catalog, and this catalog is there is this 10, because it's like underlining the 10 years of the festival, and there's still this element that is connecting the catalogs to the posters, to the identity of this year. And you see also the 1 is like a cutter. The 1 and the 0 is really geometrical, and Emmanuel designed this one just perfectly for this tool. And in the back cover, we had this image, le chien andalou, that you know really well. And there is a kind of triangle shape on the corner. Why that? Because the catalog becomes a kind of tools that we use to interact with the poster. So we use the catalog in a cutter, And we organized a kind of performance with the team of the Louvre Festival. So there was the director, the vice director, the music director, the chief of the communication. Everybody was involved on this performance. And we went out during nights with knife and catalogs and started to rip the poster off. And we had to do like several kind of performances all over Lausanne and other cities in which we had the poster. And this is the results. So what is fun about this project and was fun was of course doing it and the challenge to say how can we work on poster in a different way without being using the same models. And so this is a kind of innovative way to interact with the use of a poster and the communication that came out from using a poster. Because normally a poster has always the same feeling all the time. Either you can have a series of 2 or 3 posters and you use them, but it's always the same thing. Here what is happening that the communication is like stretching and changing through times. So the first week was the white one, then it started to be interacted by performance and starting to change. And what happened that there was always still a little bit of paper, and also people from the street started to rip them off. So this project was really getting really weird and really unmanageable from our side, because we just give a platform and then people were interacting and rip the poster off. And somehow we managed to keep the identity of the poster thanks to these elements, to these triangular elements. So you cannot read Louvre anymore. You have something really fun, for instance, in this one that you have MAF. That is it's funny because there is another festival that is called MAF in Melbourne. It is an underground festival, so it was really fun. And of course, there is also a kind of beauty of the different layers. So because you are discovering the past of this place. So this place had to host several posters long time ago, and you can start to see what there is behind. And that is taking back some kind of unexpected reaction. And of course, everything is really connected to these performances, acting that were done by Dadaist movement. And we have in Italy, we have Mimmo Rotella, who was one of the best known artists using these techniques, but was used in art field, so it's different. As Marcel Duchamp says, you can bring up whatever you want in the space of a gallery or a museum, and it becomes by itself an art piece. But in this case, we are really challenging the posters. So what is a poster all about? And then, yeah, you discover little by little that the meaning of all the projects is connected to something that was running this year. There was the 2011. There was the Fukushima accident of the nuclear power plant. And somehow there is also something that I'm really happy that we can manage with the festival, because I mean, they were really a great client. I mean, one of my best clients far so ever, that could be able to embrace also a kind of radical approach. And so we could criticize somehow what was running on Switzerland. That at the same time, there were politicians that they wanted, just before Fukushima, they wanted to build a new nuclear power plant. So we really work on these themes. And then, of course, you realize now why this image came out, why there is this idea of the destruction, because we tried with graphic to show on the street what is a destruction. What is a destruction all about? What does it mean, destroy? What does it mean, an accident like this one? And then I don't have the time. I still have some time? Is someone counting? No? Oh? No problem, okay. So now I'm introducing the new baby. It's a kind of side project we are doing at the atelier. As I have a lot of friends, architects. I really love. I'm like really a kind of architects to tourists as well, and I love design in a more brighter way. Also, if in my graphic studio we are focused in graphic design, of course. And we decided to create a line of furniture product in collaborating with friends who are industrial designer, and so we created a label that is like a little bit working on a kind of critic around what we had as an image recently, you know. So this is supposed to be the future, and for decades they gave us those images. This will be the future, and in fact now if you see these rocket cars and you go to China and you see how the cities in China are polluted, you're gonna say, is that the future? Or is that what our civilization wants to have? And somehow I think it's really important, because we have a responsibility that we have as citizen now. And if you see in China now, there is this big move of buying cars and buying cigarettes. Oh my gosh, the bigger tobacco companies, they cannot afford now to sell cigarettes in Europe because of laws and human being able to cope with that, and now they sell it to China. And somehow those images, like they're selling us the future is gonna be bright, beautiful, spaceful, and whatever, connected to the moon. We saw the images before of this beautiful moon image of the NASA. And so for ourselves, we want to do something that is not any way connected to that. We want to build on the past, because we believe that we have to build on heritage. And tradition is not bad. Tradition is good. So I always like saying Japan probably is one of the most beautiful places in which they could kept tradition cool and fancy. And it's really important. Let's keep tradition cool and let's embrace it, because tradition are something that are connecting us to our culture, are connecting us to our needs as a human being. And so we create Dadadum, that is this new label. This is the first product that we came out. We collaborated with Nicolas Lemoine, who is a designer in Lausanne, and he's a really minimalistic Swiss, ultra Swiss shelf system. It's a modular one. It can be interlocked together in different way. You can separate it and assemble it in different way. And I'm not going to show you the furniture project. You can discover it online. But I'm gonna talk about the branding and the logotype. We designed it. This is the logotype, Dadadum. You see, we have the name is like a rhythm, Dadadum, and is a kind of homage to a new way of life. So we're really connected to slow food movement of Petrini. The great Italian association, and we think we have to come back to a slow kind of style life, and not anymore this crazy and schizophrenic, stressful urban lifestyle in which you have to drive and then check your emails and tweeting at the same time while you are caring about your children. And but just, you know, like embracing monotask. I love monotask. I cannot be multitask. I would love a computer that is monotask. And of course, there is this element of Dada that you have it. and it's 100 years of data now, so there is also this wish to be like a little bit critic. And the values of the brand is solid, so we are amongst the Alps, among the mountains. Mountains for us are living being. We really survive with them. They gave us the industry of the milk, which we could do chocolate, we could do cheese. Mountains are also fun in winter time. They are also fun in summertime. It's really an amazing place. Then organic, of course, and we embrace the order. I mean, for few decades, there was an Italian movement who was saying that Swiss are boring because they are too structured. And we believe that order is nice, and order is half of the solution. And modular is also important because it helps us to structure our life. And then we work on Swiss heritage in what was done in the past. So it's really important to connect with the products and the furniture that were done before. So, and of course, ludic. And somehow, how could we apply all those elements to the brand is the main task. And we put all together with three, may say, basic concept: the culture, the beauty, and the smartness of the product. So, because we had 3D on the project, we had to come out with a special D who was interesting enough. So the research we did was what kind of D can have something nice, and we find out that Frutiger designed a typeface. It was a technical typeface called OCRB, where this kind of D was the weight, the optical weight, is a little bit below. So it's like it was a kind of a big belly. And this little difference of weight is really interesting, and we decided to use this typeface for several reasons and make it in a bolder version. So we redesigned the typeface in a bold version for the logotype, and then we put together a family of typefaces, and there we work on this heritage. And there is a beautiful typeface that we are using is Universe, designed by Adrian Frutiger, who somehow failed to be universal because Helvetica became universal. And now Helvetica, you have it everywhere in all your devices because of Steve Jobs decided to put it on it. And somehow Universe was like somehow missed somewhere. And so we think Universe has something more than Helvetica because it's really, there is a human touch on it. And when you use it in big, there is a kind of weird elements that are a little bit more human than Helvetica, but it keeps these Swiss values that are important to us. And then we used together the OCRB in its normal version. And you already see what is the character of this typeface, that is monospace. What does it mean? That the weight of the letter is always the same. So when you write something, there will be always the letter that will be always aligned. So there is this beauty of the order of the machine somehow on the back. And we applied this concept to the logotype. So the logotype is like a being. It's like there is some behavior. It's like moving. It's not always the same. It's like changing. And it's moving over this kind of grid. There is an invisible grid on the back that allows us to play and move letters around. This is the business card. You see there is this invisible grid on the back side. So we are not moving the letters by hand, like you go in Illustrator and you're moving, but we are moving like typefacing, like writing, adding space. So because the weight is always the same, if you add a space with the bar space, the letters is just shifting, and it is always aligned to the other line of letter. And then we work together with Mathieu Ruda, who is a friend of us. He's a software interaction developer. And we create a script in InDesign that is able to generate with a random script and some parameters several kind of outputs. And then thanks to that, we had 500 different models of generated logotype. We export in PDF, and then we print it through new technologies. So this is really our first attempt to work with new technology. So this is we print with digital offset printed. That means that there is no plate involved. So it's the opposite. We are working in the other direction, and the result is this. So those are the business cards, and you see the logo types is always different. So it becomes like ludic, it becomes like playful, but at the same time it keeps a kind of behavior. You still see that the identity is there. This is the side of the card. We add a little thing. And then you see here the whole range of the stationery. So the logo is like playing and moving all around, having this freedom of act in this manner. So I think it's okay for the time. It's good? It's okay? It's good, thank you. So, and here you see the shelves, like this is our studio. It's a kind of a weird environment now, because like we are developing graphic project, then we develop this industrial project, design project. So everything is overlapping, and I think is that also the quality of Dadadoom, because it has a graphic side on it, and you see on the shelves. And yeah, that's it for my presentation. I wanted to just tell you, never stop to exploring in whatever direction. It's really important to try to go out and explore new ways of doing things. And thank you so much.
Hi, I would like to ask you, you showed the poster of Fukushima. Is that image Fukushima, or was it Hiroshima? Because it reminded me of the picture of the H-bomb of Hiroshima. Is it a way of recalling Hiroshima too? I just wanted to know.
Yeah, thank you for the question. Yeah, it's a good question. You spotted well. Is in fact Nagasato, and it's like taking the record of the past through the present. And the wish was really that to say, okay, it's a kind of warning sign. You know, it's like put this historical image that comes from the U.S. Army. They took it in the 48, and that was a wish to recall it and reconnect it.
En el cartel que hemos visto.
In the poster you showed, that was double. You had two posters that were glued, and then you talked about the performance. We saw that when you ripped part of it off, again, you saw the first poster. So it's like having two posters in one, really. So that's a question. So it's actually two double posters.
No. It is, we glued just two posters. So the red one with the Nagasaki bomb, the one white with the typography. And then what happened normally that in Switzerland, the society who is caring about poster displaying, they let the old poster on the back. So you have some specific placement in which you have maybe 7 layers of poster, of old posters.
Yeah,
and
yeah, I know.
in some places in which you have just 3. So it's always a kind of...
Yes, then I understand bad before, because I was thinking was
no.
and was 2.
It was 2, exactly. That's why, yeah.
That was.
That was the challenge, because the company who is stitching the poster on the street didn't understand why we are putting 2 poster and hiding 1, and it cost more. And he say, "You are crazy. Why you do that?" Thank you so much to everybody.